Let's have a look at an example question. No, it won't be coloured in this way, it's just an example. Which aspect of project performance ensures that what the project delivers is consistent with achieving the desired return? Let's imagine, like our chum down here, you're really scratching your head about this one. Now, which one is it? Well, by a process of elimination, let's imagine you don't know, and if you do, well done. You think about quality. Well, desired return might suggest to you that this is something to do with the business case, at least return on your investment or something like that. So although quality is important, that's probably less likely to be the answer. On your question paper, you could put a question mark or even a little cross just to remind yourself of your mental thought. Scope, what's included and what isn't. Well, again, that doesn't feel like a right answer, so put a question mark. Benefits. Well, I know that's in the business case, and I'm thinking of desired return. This sounds like that might be the one, but don't move too quickly. Cost. Now, cost has something to do with money, of course, and desired returns, it could be that one. I might say that probably benefits might be the better choice. And by the way, it is the right answer. So there's just an example, even if you really weren't sure of how you might get an extra mark. Now let's move on to the practitioner exam tips. The first thing you'll want to do, and I suggest you spend a good 10 minutes reading the scenario first. If you've got a highlighter, a yellow highlighter, I recommend you do, then you might want to highlight key points. Perhaps a good focus is on the products that might get mentioned in the scenario as well. This might help keep in your mind exactly what the deliverables are of the scenario. Now you need to look at the 9 questions, and I would suggest you do them in number order. I always teach my delegates to do it that way. Number 1 is consistent, and number 2 you may well find that later answers will be helpful on earlier questions. So attempt question number 1 and continue through. I don't suggest that you do this in several passes like the foundation exam. The reason why I personally recommend that is that you'll be jumping from topic to topic and your brain will be spinning. So keep on, for example, question 4, when you get to it, let's imagine it's something to do with the business case, then you're in the business case thinking zone, and I find that's more efficient. Make any notes on the question and the scenario on the actual question sheets themselves that you'll have in the exam pack. You will have to hand these back, of course, and quite right too, but there's nothing wrong with you making notes on it, perhaps just to help you get to the right answer. As I've already mentioned, allow yourself 15 minutes maximum per question topic. If you can do them in a little quicker, then when you come to the end, if there is a particular earlier question that you've thought of that you think that you might have a different answer, then you can go back. Read any additional information for the next question only. What do I mean by that? Well, the first thing, of course, read the scenario. Now let's imagine you're on question 1. Check to see if there are any extra information on question 1. There's normally extra information, additional information, for each of the questions, although some may not have it. So read that extra information before you attempt the question. There may be important information there that will help you answer the question quickly and get the right answers. If you're struggling on an answer, maybe make a note and move on. I would not recommend this as a strategy, as I've already said, but there's no point you spending your 15 minutes and still worrying about it and then spending another 5 minutes. You're missing out possibly on future questions that you can do quickly and easily. Keep an eye on the clock, in other words. Remember, strict time management is needed. I would recommend when you get to your 15 minutes, mercilessly move on to the next question. Remember, you only need to get 55% correct, and spending precious exam time scratching your head on areas which you're not really sure about is likely to lead to a fail. I now want to just cover broadly some of the types of questions you'll see. Again, my intent here isn't to give you any answers per se, but to get you used to scanning and reading and understanding what the examiner is getting you to answer. I've just invented this, and this is exactly how it will be laid out on your question sheet. You'll have a syllabus area and it'll name it. I've called this the quality theme. it'll have the question number. Let's imagine this is question 4. And as I said, each topic will be split into parts. Let's imagine this is part B. Normally you'll just have a part A or B, although you may get a part C sometimes. But the new exam normally is just an A or a B. And the examiner will tell you how many marks will be awarded to this particular topic area. You'll usually find quite clearly the number of marks relate in some way or multiple to the number of questions. And here, since you've got 3 questions, you may rightly assume it's a mark a question. So this question type goes something like this. There'll be 2 columns, column 1 and column 2. And it'll say clearly something like this: column 1 is a list of objectives. For each objective in column 1, select from column 2 the quality activity that addresses it. Each selection from column 2 can be used once, in other words per answer, more than once, or not at all. What the examiner is trying to tell you here is that when considering the answer to question 1, let's imagine it's A, you might find once you've answered all questions, B was never used. That's all they're saying here. But for each question, you must come up with an A or a B or a C. Working with the customer to understand their quality expectations. Which part of quality is that about? Again, if you're not sure, go to the quality theme in the manual. There's a great diagram there that'll almost certainly tell you this answer. What you'll find out is that in fact the answer is C. This is part of quality planning. Ensuring that organisation standards are being met. Well, who would ensure that that is the case? And the answer is quality assurance. Updating the quality register after a quality review. Well, this is well after the product's been made, of course, and this is, of course, quality control. Here's another type. Again, I've just invented this, but to remind you, you'll have this information at the top of the question paper. Make sure you understand it. This happens to be question 2, part A, and there's 7 marks. So in the full question, you'd actually get 7 of them. This is just question 1 as an example. It'll say something like this: using the project scenario and the additional information provided for this question. There you see is where it is directly asking you and reminding you to read that, but I hope you will have already have done that before even attempting this question. In the scenario booklet, answer the following 7 questions. Again, this is just one of them. Each question provides a list of true statements about the conference project. Again, I've just invented this. Let's imagine the scenario was to do with the conference project. But only 2 statements are appropriate entries for that heading of the business case. Remember to limit your answers to the number of selections requested in each question. Okay, so number 1, which 2 statements should be recorded under the reasons heading? Now you'll get quite a lot of these types of questions. The first thing I'd want to do is to go to Appendix A, because you may have some extra information there that'll help you see the type of information that should be recorded. You might also want to go to the business case theme. Again, in the text of the manual, it may well cover the type of information under reasons. And you now have to decide which of these, which 2, are reasonable and correct. Now a little tip here, and that is that the business reasons should be either based on something to stop pain or something to get gain. Now, A is talking about boost customer repeat business by 15%. This is a benefit, so this would be recorded under the benefits section, not the reasons. The average return on investment has been this. Well, so what? It's just a piece of information. That is no reason why you'd want to run the project. Which means the last 2 must be correct. We are now losing an extra 6% of our revenue to competitors. That would be a reason why you want to run a project to boost sales. Our low company profile has resulted in a loss of 10% sales this year. Again, that would be a right answer to include under the reasons heading. I'll make the point, I'm not here to teach you this stuff. It's just that how you might use some logic to understand what the right answers might be. Okay, well done. You're already smarter than the average PRINCE2 exam candidate. I mean that in a positive sense, in that you've taken the time and care to think about the techniques you need for the exam itself. The best way to pass the PRINCE2 exam is to work hard and to understand the PRINCE2 method. As I said before, the examiner is not trying to trip you up. Merely set out a set of information to prove to them that you know enough to be called a PRINCE2 practitioner. So thank you for your attention. I hope you found this useful, and good luck in your studying and passing both your foundation and practitioner exams. And if you want to fully prepare, I recommend that you go on over to my PRINCE2 Foundation and Preparation site, www.prince2primer.com, and we'll meet again on the other side.